What is going on, everybody? I just started this way quicker than I thought. First of all, one thing I wanted to let you know, even though I'm recording this earlier than normal, it was supposed to be way earlier than normal. I got a random eye test. They asked me, when was the last time you came for an eye test? I said, never. I've never come for an eye test before. And she was like, what? Well, in the eye test world, they're always seeing people who need repeated eye tests. I went as a fit. My mom's worried that we're predisposed to eye conditions. So just to kind of make her happy as a Christmas gift, I said, fine, I'll go to the eye guy. But not the fake one, like not the guy who's just checking you at the corner. I went to like a true eye doctor, even, the eye surgeons and whatnot. I don't know what the hell it is, but it was a legitimate place. And I never had my pupils dilated with these tests. I couldn't see. And it just made me sick for people who can't see. I mean, I was trying to text. I couldn't see right here. And it was like one of those movies where someone's like, I can't see. I can't. It was a crazy experience. And now I'm back to like 80%. I was like, have I never had eye issues? And now you guys squirt me with some juice and I'm going to have to come in here once every 6 months. I should have just stayed away. But apparently this is what happens when they dilate your pupils. I'm just getting over that now. I can mostly see. I got most of my vision back. And I'm going to open up with something pretty crazy. Just received a notification before I started this episode that said, Andy, and kudos to whoever the hell you are. It's a revamped game on DraftKings. They've heard your calls on DraftKings. Shout out to the guy. I just didn't believe him. Right before I said, hey, do me a favor. My buddy who helps me edit this, I said, open up DraftKings on the off chance this guy isn't out of his mind. And sir, you were not out of your mind. I'm going to pull up DraftKings. Look what's available. We've been asking. This is a first time. I've never made a click. I've never clicked before. Hit that same game parlay. And now, let's go to those player points. Do they, let's see if they restrict how many we can add. Is Luke Hughes on the list? Give me a little Luke Hughes. Out of curiosity, go to Jack Hughes. What is his listed at? 1.5? Give me a little Jack Hughes. And they're both in there. Go to Palat and click the under, because sometimes it will malfunction with unders. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, live here at Studio Whatever. We can put these together now. We can finally assort multiple player props. Bet365, Hard Rock, whoever you are, eat your heart out, Ravishing Rick Rude style or Val Venus style. Don't know if there's a new school wrestler who gives you those hip thrusts. But this is worthy of a hip thrust. And I can get up and really do it. I'm just not going to put you guys through that because I think most of the audience here is male. Maybe some of you do want to see that. I don't know. So now scroll up to the top. Let's see what else is available here. Yeah, you can leave those highlights. Doesn't matter. So we have the shots, assists, and by the way, the reading's coming back. Not the easiest things in the world. So they do have the shots on goal. Player shots, yeah. Is it all of them or select players? Wow. Looks like they have the majority of them. I'm assuming they're not going to give you alts and whatnot, but let's go up to the top and scroll to the right. And is that the end of it? Oh, guys, this is good. This is more than good. This is Tony the Tiger Great Zucaritas, the name of it in Mexico. I talked about that on my podcast, right? Once again, I don't know which show is which. Anyway, this is unbelievable, and it's going to give opportunities. Remember the theory I told you about these last 2 weeks of a night where you think somebody's going to get shot? That's the opposite of this night, but let's pretend like it was going to be this night. Just the exercise that we ran the last 2 weeks. Let's go with, you know what? This is a good game to go with. Uncheck the Palat. Uncheck all these guys, by the way. Now, go up to the top. Let's go back to regular things. And let's just choose the Devil's money line or whatever. Okay. Awful number. Let's say this wasn't the Devils. Let's say this was a good defensive team. Let's say if this was the Bruins. Bruins at home last. Perfect example. Super Bowl time. Ace Ventura. Perfect example would be that game last night. Bruins, Sharks. Let's take the Bruins at minus 9,000, right? Oh! No, let's take a couple secondary players on the team point prop unders. So let's look who we got here. Now, remember, I told you to pull up daily face-off. And I'm sorry if my man Alex doesn't have it ready because I just told him to start. But Alex, if you can go to daily face-off and then the line combinations, because remember, we're going to check the line combinations of the team we're going to try to find some point prop unders with. Go to the Sharks. We're looking to take unders on the team we think that isn't going to really score offensively. So rather than try to guess which Devils are going to get on the board, and I would go with Luke Hughes with no, what's his name? With no Dougie Hamilton. So here, what we're looking for are guys go down to the second power play. Line mates who are on the second power play. Okay, on this unit, see if any of these names, I know Duclair, so Duclair, Hoffman, then go back up to the lines. I want to see where Duclair and Hoffman, hopefully they're on the same line. Hoffman on second line. All right, this is going to, where, now go back down to that second power play. I know this is so annoying. I'm just trying to find. So it's Bailey, Kunin, Duclair, Hoffman. Bailey, Duclair, Hoffman. Now go up to those lines. Okay, so Bailey, a fourth line. He probably won't even. All right, go to DraftKings. You know, why do this always make it difficult for us? All right, who are we seeing here? We're ideally looking for line mates. Not helping with my eyes. You know what? Just to make things easy, go with Duclair and I don't know. Go with Eklund. I don't even. The point is trying to come up stack with some plus monies. So if you think they're going to get, now this isn't the best game because the Devils play awful defense. But if this was a game where I thought a team was going to get blanked, now remember the minus is not going to be as high as it was. Then again with the Bruins it would have been last night. But if you thought this was going to be low scoring, you take two guys from the second power play, you go under on their point props, and you want them hopefully to be on the same lines. Just because for the time on the show, I didn't want to have to keep cross-referencing. Number one, supremely excited we can do this on DraftKings now. Number two players on the second power play unit who are preferably line mates. Got that? Hopefully, I'll keep trying to do this every Friday to cement that in there. And if you hate this theory, don't even use it. It's just something that I like to use if I can sniff out a team not scoring. But this is a fantastic revelation that has really got me excited. This is fantastic. Now you can do these combinations with NFL combinations, and you got a happy boy today. I'm happy to announce this to the free folk out there. Oh, this is cool. All right, so why don't we get out of this? And now we can look at some of the games. Actually, no, let's pull that off to the side and put things on me. I do want to say I fully understand that the beginning of this season, just like how, Netflix gives you the quarterly assessments, bad opening quarter for Netflix, my version of Netflix. But, when Stranger Things comes out and everybody starts resubscribing, that next quarter, expect those numbers to go up. Because we're going to be getting more into the season, and I feel like we're going to be able to forecast what these teams are more like. We're going to get less of those, fake losses that you see. You're seeing some teams round into form. You're seeing the Hurricanes now all of a sudden second in the Metro. You're seeing the Oilers, despite having no defense and suspect goaltending, they're starting to rack up a couple of wins. A lot of the nonsense is starting to iron itself out, and you'll continue to see that as we go through the season. But just because I always am, I try to be accountable the same way. I was devastated about that Kings loss, and I said I won't make a video the next day. They lost. I didn't make a video. They paid me to make the video. So I could have just done it and got paid, but I screwed you. I deserve to get screwed as well. Let's hope that doesn't continue into this weekend, because we did get that huge ray of sunshine this week. We got that raker's delight of a Tuesday where I went up and down the board and nailed everything. So maybe, hopefully, probably, definitely will be a thing of a sign of things to come. Now let's throw up some of that Saturday slate. I do know I took a half glance at it just because, for the people on Patreon, just because I didn't like anything on Friday. I always try to see, okay, well then let me at least give them a heads up for one of my favorite picks for the following day. And as I was going through, unfortunately, there are a lot of tough ones on this slate, but that's how I felt last night in bed right before I fell asleep. Maybe with a new set of bad eyes that are still blurry, I can be able to figure out a couple picks that potentially can be all right. Now, the Lightning have Vasilevsky back, still kind of giving up way too many chances. Blew a 2-0 lead at home, lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know on the Patreon, at least I gave out the Crosby with Hedman. That one ended up being good, which was nice to see. This is a tough game. This is a tough game because now I don't know how much I want to mess with the Lightning on the road. Just because, they got Vasilevsky back there and that power play, and despite that, they've lost these last couple of games. Stars are a pretty reliable team. Interesting to see the Lightning involved in a road game where the total is at 6. Very interesting. And another thing that I wanted to mention, last night was the first night in over a week where more overs hit than unders. This is an unders league. It just scars you when the over happens to screw you, which happened to happen last night, which was the first night I pointed out how many unders have been hitting lately. It's been a real funny one for me. There's a real puppet master having himself a laugh at how things are going over the first quarter of this season. So that first game, the problem for me is the Stars make things difficult, because if it's one of those games where they're playing defensive, it's like there aren't many player point props to go around. It's like a 3-1 final, and it's tough. Or conversely, another team goes up by 2, then they open it up, and then you get a wild game. There's just such a high variance in how these Stars games can play out. That's very tough. Next, Blackhawks versus the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg Jets have been going hardcore unders. 1-1 in the third versus Edmonton. 1-0 most of that game. I believe they were tied 1-1 with Dallas going into late into the third period. The only issue on this one is, what if they absolutely crack the Blackhawks and they win from 6-2 or something like that? That's tough. That's tough. Tough. Rangers are going on the road to play Nashville. Jesus Christ. When these two teams played in Madison Square Garden, the Predators just had this random kind of beating, and the Rangers have been great ever since. Rangers trailed in the third the other night to Detroit, ended up coming back and winning. They lost the game before that going into Nashville. Nashville's one of these teams, they have such a high variance too. You see them, oh my God. Next up, okay, here's one that I like. Yeah, Florida Panthers. I mean, everybody on the Patreon knows that I loved Carolina against the Islanders. Oh, Carolina thoroughly outplayed them. Islanders just playing so poorly in their own end. They're still missing their top defenseman in Adam Pelech. They rely so much on their goaltending and borderline lucky/timely scoring. The Islanders' record in the state of Florida, both against the Lightning and the Panthers, has been very dismal. And something's going on weird with the Panthers. They're playing defense these last two games. 1-1 in the third against the Leafs, and then it was 1-0 going into the third against the Canadiens in Montreal. Maybe that changes a little bit on their home ice. I'm a big fan of when teams are playing defensive like that. I would go with Florida in this game, and I would go with the bump it up under. I would go with the under 6.5. Going next, and that is an afternoon game. Sabres, Carolina. I'm trusting Carolina in almost every home game. I know the Sabres are one of those wacky teams where they kind of can get it going offensively. They fell behind big to the Blues in last game, came all the way back just to re-lose. They are that kind of team. Wouldn't mess with the over in this one, but I'm sticking with the Canes on many different scenarios. Penguins, obviously, they can go any which way. They can lose or win any game that they play, seemingly. That's a tough one. No, these are 7 o'clock, right? We're seeing the West Coast time. Bruins versus Leafs. Rivalry game in Toronto. Toronto plays every game lazy. Last two in overtime. Oh, man. I'm going to trust that Toronto would get amped up for this game, but if you just saw me rolling my eyes 4 times before giving a pick, you kind of know how I feel. Wings at the Canadiens. Did they just... I think they just played... No. The Wings just played the Hawks at home, so 2 in a row against bad teams. They almost had the Rangers down. Is in Montreal. Could that be a ruckus game? One that goes over with a bunch of wackiness? Point props on each side, potentially. Next one, we got Seattle, Ottawa. Oy. I'll stick by my rules here, and I'll go with Seattle, who they got a point. They came back against Toronto. They'll be waiting in Ottawa to play the Senators, who are playing tonight. So I always like to take the team that's waiting. The same thing that I said about Florida waiting for the Canadiens to return home, and they beat them pretty convincingly. Next is Blues versus Arizona. I lean towards Arizona. I usually like Colorado after a loss. Who the hell are they minus 235 against? Ducks? Show me the Ducks. Yeah, I just knew it was the Ducks. Colorado going to lose to Arizona and Anaheim back-to-back? They're obviously big favorites. But, that's going to be an opportunity to go to DraftKings and actually use, the over on McKinnon. We could finally use the over on McKinnon. Oh! And then lastly, Capitals. I'll just take whoever. Oh, yeah. Give me Vegas. I'm going to get some revenge on those godforsaken Washington Capitals who are accumulating points despite being absolute trash. I will get my vengeance against them the same way I got my vengeance against the Kraken. Then Flames, Canucks. Flames weirdly trending up. Canucks semi-trending down. That's interesting. They just acquired Zadorov, and his first game is going to be against his former team. Yee! You know what? If you click plus 1.5 for the Canucks, and click minus 220 for the Knights, what price does it give you? All right, we're in the plus. I can stand by that. All right, there's some that I like in there. I like Florida. I like Vegas. Yeah, it actually gets a lot real thinner after that. But, now that you got those point props, you could play around with some of those bigger favorites and really try to maximize your sniffs in that capacity. That's really great to see. I am so thrilled. now just get ready, because that's just going to be a new mainstay on the show. Are we putting DraftKings out of business with these? We will see, but I'm extremely happy to announce it. You guys want my full assortment of picks, and even when I didn't make a video on Thursday, I made it for the Patreon crowd because they deserve it. Been a bumpy first quarter of the season, but just like, you got to bump it up. We're going to bump up our efforts and results here in the second quarter of the year. That's where I'm going to post all my bets. That's where I'll answer your questions. I'll do the best I can to get back to you guys. Try to be active in the chat unless I'm doing some other stuff. Very much appreciated. It supports everything that I do here, helps fund a lot of the stuff that I do here so that I can stay here and continue to do this and not get that job working at this damn office that just poured this liquid into my eyes that allowed me not to see for the first time. I feel like Arya Stark when Jack and Hagar tried to teach her a lesson about wearing faces that they don't belong to. All right, that's what I got for you here on this episode of Pickin Corners. Make sure you're subscribed here to my YouTube channel. Really does mean a lot. This is an Odd Shopper. This is the thing that I'm trying tooth and nail to try to, I don't know, what is that saying, tooth and nails? Scratching tooth and nail, I don't know. But I'm digging to try to grow this thing. It's not easy at all. Some of you guys who commented last week, like, just comment and try to beat this algorithm. That's fine. Anything to help this show gets suggested to other people. I imagine when the inevitable multiple hot streaks that percolated the first two seasons start showing their faces, something tells me I'm going to start seeing people in droves. But until then, who knows? That might be as early as next week. Until then, make sure you're subscribed here, like and comment. Like I mentioned, share it with anybody you know who might like the show. Also, check out Look Who's Chalking, the DFS football show. If you like that stuff, I try to always put at the end of the video, it pops up the most recent episode of Look Who's Chalking. So check that out. And then obviously the stuff on Odd Shopper, like the Francess and Friends and everything, when you support it and comment there, it green lights them to continue to allow me to make more of those episodes. All right? I'll be back with you guys next week. Good luck this weekend. I'm looking forward to next week. Full use of these DraftKings same game parlays. I'll talk to you then.